Urano Motosu, a librarian whose devotion to books eclipsed even sustenance, met a tragic end under an avalanche of her beloved tomes during an earthquake. Her last prayer, to be reborn among books. Thus, she awoke as Mine, a sickly 5-year-old girl in a medieval world, consumed by fever. She soon recognized her new mother and her sister Tuli, who urged her to rest. But Mine's thirst for books was unquenchable. Her initial search was disheartening. Not a single volume in their humble home. The harsh reality struck her. In this era, books were a luxury for nobles, an unattainable dream for a poor girl. Frustration made her cry. Recovered from the fever, Mine struggled to adapt. An ingenious hair ornament she created impressed Tuli, though it also bewildered her. A visit to the market with her mother turned into a mission in pursuit of books. There, the brutality of an animal sacrifice made her faint. Later, in an inn, a book behind glass rekindled her determination. If she couldn't buy them or touch them, she would create them herself. The lack of ink and paper and the unsanitary conditions of her surroundings were her first obstacles. However, her ingenuity flourished. With an exotic fruit, she created a shampoo that amazed her family with the shine and aroma it left in their hair. Her longing to see the outside world led her to accompany Tuli to the city gate, where her father, Gunther, was a captain. There, the sight of Otto, a colleague of her father, using paper and ink, revived her hope. Otto offered to teach her. During the slaughter festival, another fainting spell due to the blood led her to awaken beside Otto, who, with a slate and chalk, began her lessons. Mine learned to write her name with surprising speed, but her goal remained to make books. The harsh winter spurred her to try creating papyrus, an endeavor she abandoned due to its complexity. Scarcity led her to discover the edibility of Peru, a winter fruit with whose pulp she created delicious pancakes that she shared with her needy neighbors. When the chalk ran out, her father, though jealous of Otto's attention, took her for more. Mine, with her keen observation, detected errors in Otto's accounting. He, astonished by her mathematical ability, asked for her help. Mine negotiated corrections in exchange for unlimited writing lessons and chalk. Otto accepted, employing her despite her being an unbaptized child. For Tuli's baptism, Mine, with a crochet hook created by her father, wove a floral ornament that caused a sensation. Spring brought new desires, to go to the forest for clay for her tablets. Her father, worried about her weakness, conditioned permission on her gaining strength by assisting Otto. Her slow progress and a new fever delayed her plans until summer. Finally, in the forest, the search for clay was torture for her fragile body. Discovered by Lutz, he, after an initial reprimand and remembering the Peru pancakes, assisted her. Together, they molded the first tablets, only for the clumsiness of other children to shatter them, unleashing a dangerous fluctuation in Mine's eyes that Tuli's arrival contained. A second attempt was ruined by nocturnal rain. With perseverance, a third batch finally dried, filling Mine with joy and plans to write. However, her attempt to bake them at home culminated in an explosion, as she was unfamiliar with the proper technique, leaving her amidst the rubble of her dream. The harvest festival and Tuli's baptism arrived. Her hair ornament was the talk of the town. While Otto was busy, Mine handled official matters at the gates, arousing Gunther's jealousy. Tuli received a sewing kit and Mine a knife, which inspired her to create Mokun, wooden scrolls, with Lutz's help. He asked her to arrange a meeting with Otto, as he aspired to be a merchant. Mine agreed, but her request for ink was denied due to its cost. Frustration overcame her when her mother accidentally burned her wooden tablets. The fever struck her. With fury, Lutz brought her new, less flammable wooden tablets, but her mother burned them again. On the verge of collapse, thinking of surrendering to fever and death, the memory of Lutz's words and her promise to introduce him to Otto anchored her to life. Recovered, she rescheduled the appointment. On the day of the meeting, after grooming, Lutz, they met with Otto. who surprised Mine by arriving with Benno, his brother-in-law and an expert merchant. Benno, fascinated by Mine's inventions, interrogated her, but she kept her secrets. Lutz expressed his desire to be a merchant to commercialize Mine's creations. She, in turn, revealed her dream of being a librarian, proposing that Benno sponsor her development of plant-based paper with a 1-year deadline. Benno accepted. When Mine asked about her fever, they received no answer. Secretly, Benno confided in Otto his fear. It could be the devouring, a fatal illness. Mine, remembering her life as Urano, set out to make washi paper. She needed nails, which Otto would give her in exchange for shampoo for his wife, Karina. Upon visiting their opulent house, Mine washed Karina's hair, who was pleased to learn that Otto was happy as a guard. Pleased, Otto gave her the nails. At home, Tuli envied Mine's connection with the famous Karina. While making the tool for washi, Lutz confessed his artisan family's opposition to him becoming a merchant. Shortly thereafter, Otto brought them an invitation from Benno to be his apprentices. At the Gilberta Company, Benno reprimanded them for not coming to him directly for supplies. Mine, by apologizing with a Japanese bow, bewildered Benno, highlighting the cultural differences. She negotiated astutely. She would retain the production rights for the paper and Lutz the exclusive sales rights. Benno accepted, offering to finance the prototype in exchange for the shampoo recipe and 10% of the paper's profits as royalties. The magical contract required a blood seal, which Lutz performed for Mine. On their return, Mine's strange maturity and knowledge unsettled Lutz, who doubted her identity. Her attempts to negotiate a loan with Benno failed due to her illness. Benno demanded she always go with Lutz. Benno and Otto confirmed their suspicion. Mine suffered from the devouring and would likely die soon. Lutz confronted Mine about her self-sufficiency but affirmed he didn't hate her, though he stopped calling her by her name. Benno assigned them a workshop. Mine designed the equipment for the paper, astonishing the carpenters. A month and a half later, in the forest, Mine accidentally touched a trome fruit, which transformed into an explosively growing plant. Lutz and his brothers subdued it, explaining its invasive nature. Mine saw its potential for paper. Mine's growing erudition intensified Lutz's suspicions, who finally confronted her. Mine confessed she was not the original. The real one had died. Lutz, initially furious, understood that his memories were with this Mine and accepted her. The first trome paper amazed Benno. It was far superior to animal skin parchment. He confirmed their apprenticeship and paid their royalties. Mark explained the monetary system to them. Mine's hair ornament impressed Benno again, who sent them to the Merchants Guild for provisional cards. Initially rejected, the situation changed when the guildmaster, desperate to get one of Mine's ornaments for his granddaughter Frida, acceded to their requests and tried to hire her, with Benno preventing it. They opened accounts, and the master commissioned an ornament. Mine's family was proud of her income. Lutz's, on the other hand, rejected his money. At the meeting with Frida, she and Mine discussed designs. Lutz skillfully negotiated the price of a second ornament. Benno later reprimanded them for their generosity with the wealthy client. Lutz compared Frida's obsession with money to Mine's with books, a truth that impacted Mine. A month later, the ornaments for Frida were a success. When Mine explained she had to leave due to her health, Frida mentioned the devouring, an illness of commoner children with uncontrolled mana, activated by desperation, and lacking money for magical tools to drain it. Mine understood the gravity of her situation. She would die soon. A year had passed. The fever was a recurring demon that Mine barely contained. Benno demanded they improve their manners, appearance, and studies. An expensive suit worried Lutz until Mine reminded him of their savings. They solved a problem with the shampoo production. The cloth had to be cotton, not silk. Mine negotiated with Benno for the shampoo information for 3 small gold coins, on the condition of saving for her treatment. Benno's doubts about Mine's identity grew in the face of her vast knowledge. At home, Eva and Tuli worked diligently on the ornaments, motivated by the promise of earnings, as did Gunther. Mine advised Lutz to do the same with his brothers. Lutz's mother remained suspicious of his future as a merchant, despite Eva's reassuring words. One day, a trauma attack at the gates gave Mine and Lutz the opportunity to collect more wood. She prepared steamed potatoes, a new delicacy for Lutz. While finalizing the paper-making process, a new fever crisis struck her. She admitted to Lutz the increasing frequency of her relapses. On the way home, feeling guilty for worrying him, she told him not to be afraid if she fainted. Lutz, overwhelmed by helplessness at his friend's impending death, broke down in tears. Later, in a private conversation with Benno, he begged him for help for Mine. Benno admonished him, urging him to mature and not to burden Mine with his own anxieties, as she was already dealing with her suffering with admirable fortitude.